My cheating wife snapped, "Where I'm going is none of your business." Then my phone blew up at 2 a.m. Began as a night I'll never forget. The kind of night where every instinct you've buried for months finally rises to the surface with an unbearable urgency. It was around 9 p.m. when she stormed out of the kitchen, the faint smell of her perfume lingering like a warning, slamming the door behind her. I had asked, casually at first, where she was going. It wasn't even a question laced with control, it was curiosity, the quiet suspicion that had been gnawing at me for weeks. But the moment the words left my lips, her eyes flared, her jaw tightened, and she snapped with an intensity one hadn't seen in years, "Where I'm going is none of your business." Her words hit me like a sudden frost, cold, sharp, and final, leaving the room unnaturally quiet. I watched her storm out, leaving the door swinging behind her, and felt that familiar churn in my stomach, the prelude to a storm I'd long sensed but never fully confronted. At first, I did what I told myself was reasonable. I tried to calm down, convinced perhaps I was overreacting, that maybe she was just annoyed, maybe she had a harmless plan for the evening. But the uneasy feeling didn't leave. There were the small signs, the little patterns I had noticed over the past months, late-night texts, sudden meetings that were vaguely described, a smile that felt secretive rather than warm. I had brushed them off before, rationalized them, told myself I was paranoid. But now, her sharp words and abrupt departure had ignited something inside me. I needed to know the truth. Around 2 a.m., my phone exploded with notifications. Messages, missed calls, unknown numbers, all flooding in a chaotic rhythm that made my chest tighten. Each ping felt like a drumbeat announcing betrayal. My heart sank as I unlocked the screen and scanned the messages, the content of which confirmed the nightmare I had quietly feared for months. Photos, short videos, texts, each piece of evidence pointing to her meeting someone, a man she had kept hidden, a relationship she had meticulously concealed. The timestamps matched perfectly with the nights she claimed to be working late or meeting friends. Her carefully crafted lies, all the whispers and smiles that seemed innocent, were now screaming the truth in vivid, undeniable detail. I felt a strange mix of fury, heartbreak, and cold detachment as I scrolled. The casual confidence I had once admired in her was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize, a woman who had been living a double life under my nose, whose lips had spoken love while her actions spoke betrayal. I thought of the night before, of the words she spat in anger, "None of your business." Little did she know, the truth had already reached my hands, and with it, the power to dismantle the image she had built. The messages didn't just reveal her betrayal, they revealed the audacity of her planning, the thoughtfulness in her lies, and the depth of her disregard for the trust we had built. Each message seemed to mock me, each photograph a dagger hidden behind a smile. And yet, amidst the anger, a clarity emerged. I had the upper hand now. She had assumed secrecy was on her side, that the night would shield her from consequences. But the very technology she relied on, the very phone that buzzed incessantly in my hand, became the instrument of her undoing. By dawn, I had compiled everything into a meticulous folder, each message time-stamped, each photograph labeled, every lie she had told chronicled in black and white. I didn't confront her immediately, because confrontation in the heat of emotion rarely produces satisfaction. Instead, I waited, let the evidence sit, let her think she was safe, let her believe that her carefully guarded world was still intact. The anticipation was electric, a silent storm building until I was ready to unleash it. That afternoon, she returned, acting as though nothing had happened, the casual charm back in her smile, the easy grace in her walk. I watched her, calm, almost detached, knowing exactly what I had. She didn't notice the folder lying on the table, labeled with my handwriting, a subtle invitation to the truth she had buried. I waited, observing her, letting her slip into comfort, and then, when the moment was perfect, I opened it. Her phone, her laptop, everything she had relied upon to hide her double life, now in my control, all the evidence compiled, ready to be revealed. Her reaction was instantaneous. Eyes wide, mouth open, a gasp that seemed to catch in her throat as the reality of exposure hit her like a physical blow. She stumbled back, her hands instinctively reaching for explanations that couldn't undo what had already been seen, what had already been documented. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't shout. The evidence spoke for itself, clearer than any accusation, sharper than any confrontation. Each file, each message, each photo laid bare the betrayal she had assumed would remain hidden. By the time her friends and family arrived later that week, the story was no longer mine to tell, it was hers to explain, or rather, to fail to explain. The air had shifted, the balance irrevocably altered. The woman who once snapped, "Where I'm going is none of your business," now sat in stunned silence, stripped of the control she had wielded so casually. The room buzzed not with her laughter, not with her charm, but with the undeniable weight of truth, and the quiet realization that the game she had been playing was over. That night, as I stood in the quiet house, phone still buzzing intermittently with new messages and missed calls, I felt a strange liberation. I hadn't shouted, I hadn't exploded, I hadn't sought revenge in the conventional sense. I had simply waited, observed, and let the truth, undeniable and unavoidable, surface on its own terms. She had assumed secrecy would protect her, but in reality, it had been her undoing. She had believed that defiance and a sharp tongue could shield her from discovery, but every lie had only built a more spectacular fall. And in that calm, in the quiet aftermath of exposure, I realized that the moment she had thought to punish me, storming out in anger, snapping words meant to wound, had backfired spectacularly. The betrayal she had thought hidden, the secrets she had thought safe, were now mine to hold, mine to reveal, and mine to decide the consequences. Her phone had blown up at 2 a.m., yes, but in truth, it had been the catalyst for everything, the moment when deception met its reckoning, when the truth finally surfaced, unstoppable, undeniable, and devastating.